Okay, so welcome everybody to School of Vedic Astrology. I'm Joachim, your host, and in today's video, I want to discuss and give a presentation on Dhanistha Nakshatra. So it's a quite interesting nakshatra. Also, Saturn is direct traveling through this nakshatra, and obviously this has a lot of influence on the people right now. And as I was doing my research, it came to me more and more clear why certain concepts are in the consciousness of myself and also other people. So first of all, let us locate Dhanistha Nakshatra, and it is actually in this constellation in the center, right there in Delphinus. So you got 4 stars there, and also you have Altair, and Pegasus you have then Purva Bhadrapada, Uttra Bhadrapada. So in Delphinus we have these 4 stars which represents this nakshatra, and as you can see, these nakshatras actually is called lunar mansions, but it's quite some distance from the solar orbit or the solar ecliptic. And I'm doing some research, it's not finished yet, but it's quite interesting why these ancient sages chose those star groups to be the lunar mansions. And it's quite mathematical, but it makes lots of sense. So anyway, I wanted to mention that. So the Sanskrit root word Dhana means wealth and treasure, capital. Ishta, desire, beloved and respected. So it is a nakshatra which can give a lot of abundance depending on house placement and which graha or planet is occupying the nakshatra itself. So, and also what is very interesting is that there's another ancient names is Slavishta or Shravishta, and it forms a couple with Shravana. That's why I'm doing these series first. So the meaning is the most famous, the swiftest, the most heard of, the wealthiest, the most benevolent. Alternatively, it is also associated with Shravishta or Shravana. So the number of stars is 4. Like I said there in the constellation of Delphinus. And Delta Delphini, Beta Delphini, Alpha Delphini, and Gamma Delphini in the constellation of Delphinus. The Sadal Sud is the brightest amongst the 4 stars and lies in the shoulder of the constellation of Aquarius. And Sadal Sud is good for intuitive ability. They are very visionary people and good for public relations. The ancients saw this in the shape of a rhombus and associated it with a drum. Delphinus, the dolphin, is the celestial region which represents the zenith of the Martian energy. So we are quite now far in the Capricorn sign. And Mars is then reaches its full exaltation there. But what I have seen is Mars, when Mars goes exalted, there's lots of overdrive also, and we see this in this nakshatra. It has like this Vishakan energy of reaching the set goals. They're very passionate about dancing and music. These people like to be in time, and especially when they have Saturn there, it can make people even authoritarian and very regulated. That's why this nakshatra is then also very famous for not having good marital happiness. So it's very bad for relationships. But in general, because these people are so rhythmic, they have good sadhana, and it can make them quite wealthy in general. So the zodiac range is from 23 degrees 20 Capricorn to 6 degrees Aquarius. So you see, this is the zenith of Capricorn. This is a lot of organizational skills, and actually Saturn feels quite okay. He rules both signs, But we see that then, in fact, this turns on people and becomes, it's difficult for building good relationships with them. So the padas are Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio. Then you have Mars, especially in the fourth pada, you have Scorpio, Navamsa. Then the motivation is still Dharma, because they intend to, want to do good. Like some fathers, they're very authoritarian, but they think it's in their best interest for their children. But the dosha, the Pitta is there, Ganesh, Rakshasha, the caste farmer, and this guna tamas. So this, of course, if you have Mars as a ruling planet and Saturn as a ruling planet, these are very tamasic energies. They're also enemies with each other, so friendship is not formed there. However, because of their determination, the Shakti is the power to give fame and abundance. But mostly they will then, also have to enjoy their fame and abundance and very individually. And the Yoni is female lion. And then Purva Bhadra Pada is the male lion. So I guess you have this aggressive nature there, especially when also things don't go the way they want it to be. Yeah, then you have to watch out. And also the female lion is those who do the most work, I would say. There's the male lion who sleeps mostly 20 hours per day, and the female lions are out hunting. So there's lots of action involved here with this nakshatra. So the root word of Dhanistha comes from Dhana, means wealth, and Ishta means steady, so steady wealth. The alternative meaning is Dhwani, means sound, Ishta, meaning loving or lover of sound and music. It also means a steady sound. So these people have sadhana, they're very regulated, and when you do not follow this, they intend to go haywire, because they're very attached of being in time. Its alternative name is Shravishta, a Sanskrit term which translates into the most heard of or the most famous. So you see a lot of musicians and dancers. The name Shravishta implies that Dhanistha forms a pair with the previous nakshatra Shravana. The presiding deity, this is then quite interesting. The presiding deity of Dhanistha are the Vasus, or the 8 Vasus. Water, the pole star, earth, wind, Soma, the moon, fire, the dawn, and splendor. The Vasus are considered to be the gods of abundance. They are the deities of the earth that give abundance on the earthly plane. They are manifestations of Agni, or the sacred fire, and show the gifts that it can dispense. Because Vasus are the deity of the star, it is the giver of wealth, precious stones, valuable articles, gold, opulences, etc. So what you see is also the Vasus. This is kind of how the Mahabharata story starts. The 8 Vasus were kind of cursed by a sage Vashishta because they stole their cow somehow or the other, and they had to take forms on earth. But they were begging for mercy, so they would take forms on earth and immediately go back. And that's where the story with Mother Ganga, the spirit of the Ganges river, she immediately, when babies were born or appeared, brought them back to the water. And the king, because there was a king who fell in love with Mother Ganges, I guess, and he wanted to have children with her. But okay, because of the story, because of the curse, Mother Ganga, she started to put the babies back in the Ganges water, so the Vasus would then return to heaven. So she actually notified him from that, and he said it's okay. But after the 7th child, he became very disturbed, and he said you have to stop. And that's where the 8th child was kept, and that was then Bhishma Dev, or Prabhasha was his name in the beginning. So Bhishma Dev, he is a very famous character. He was the grandfather of the Pandavas. And he was also known for being a lifelong celibate, because we see that then it's very difficult for these people to form intimate relationships. They intend to also be celibate and single for quite a long time in their lives. So that's a little bit of a background story. So the symbol of this nakshatra is the drum or the flute. Due to the symbols of musical instruments, some of the natives do possess musical ability and love dancing and keep to the rhythm and beat of the drums. In the same token, they are great at timing. This can refer to having a knack for being at the right place at the right time. This nakshatra planetary ruler is Mars. Mars is also exalted at 28 degrees of Capricorn in the second pada of Dhanistha, which is then Virgo, very practical. The ruler of the Capricorn and Aquarius sign is Saturn, and the nakshatra ruler Mars. Both are tamasic planets, which can give severe relationship issues to the native. Due to the tamasic influence of Mars and Saturn, this nakshatra is governed by the quality of ignorance. Marriage may be delayed or even denied for these natives. So it all depends on what placements you have there. You need kind of a softer, strong energy. You need like a full moon, not afflicted in this nakshatra, to really give the peace and of this aggressive energy that's involved, and also the abundance is there, because people would aggressively pursue certain abundance, but you put it in the eighth house, it's going to be lost again. So we have to we have to analyze the chart at a whole and see what planets are there. If you have Mars as an Atma Karaka there, yeah, Mars is, even though exalted, but Pitta will be increased, and if you have Saturn there, we see these people going to be authoritarian. So yeah, difficult karmas, marital karmas, often women with their natal moon placed here. Some problems like miscarriages are seen. It's relating to the story of the 8 Vasus in the Mahabharata, of course. Abortions also indicated in Dhanistha. Some of the male natives in Dhanistha may have misogyny, and they just hate women. Or persons born under the star are hostile to women, or they, or you can see lesbians and gay people. Also, Bhishma Dev, he was lifelong celibate, so these people intend to then be single for quite some long time. So if Saturn is the lord of the 7th house and also in the star, or any other graha in the 7th house or 7th lord associated with the star, the native may be sexually weak or delayed marriage and obstructs marital happiness. So there's a lot of emphasis here in this research work. Hence, it is observed that native of the star seldom marries, or marriage is very difficult for him. If married, conjugal relations is seldom happy. So yeah, you have this Vishaka energy in there. Yeah? Sometimes it is also seen that the Dhanistha men are hated by many women. Even worse, they can be materialistic and gain fame and recognition, or very narcissistic. Yeah, I can already see how this goes. They love the excitement of travel. Influences of malefics and Dushtana lords in this nakshatra can restrict growth and expansion of material riches. So it is not always that this nakshatra will give abundance. You really need to have strong benefics in there without any malefic aspects or house lords placements. They must be careful not to be self-absorbed, greedy, and narcissistic. So when fame and money comes, they intend to be really into themselves, really. So that's also not good. And therefore, the symbol is a drum, and drums are empty inside. And there seems to be emptiness from within. For the musical instruments, a drum and a flute are hollow. They are constantly trying to fill this void. And this may be the cause of their problems in relationships and marital discord. Now, there is also a good side, luckily, on this nakshatra. Nakshatras never go only one way. So there is higher altruistic, artistic, musical orientation, precludes cardinality. Oh, okay. We are not at the good part yet. Yeah, let's put in some more. And delayed, unhappy romance, more in the Capricorn part. Know that Rama, one of the Vishnu avatars, or others say he is Vishnu himself. Or he is God himself. He's not the avatar of Vishnu. Vishnu is rather an avatar of Krishna and Ram, who is regarded as the epitome of good conduct and righteousness, faced numerous problems in his married life. Yeah, if your wife get kidnapped by one of the biggest demons in the universe, that's not a happy story. In this chart, Mars is placed in the Capricorn part of Dhanistha in the 7th house. So I'm not sure if this really goes hand in hand here in this research project, because mostly it was also due to Rahu in the 7th house that Ram had to conquer this evil Ravana. And Sita and Ram actually had a very good marriage apart. He was the perfect husband, and that's why most Hindus worship Ram instead of Krishna, because Krishna is more a young boy playing with the gopis and having different women and married to a lot of women as a kshatriya, and Ram was kind of the perfect husband. So, and also Krishna is very famous to take things away, and not many Hindus really like that. Now, the good part, these people are liberal, they are rich, they're bright, they have young looks, philanthropy, courageous, prosperous, ambitious. They love music, talent in singing, fine art, strong, adventurous nature, great spiritual depths and occult knowledge, temperamental incompatibility, giver of what is highly valued, singing sonorous melodies. This nakshatra is said to have immaculate timing, similar to the nature of rhythmic beats of the drums. So very on point with their, if it's in the 2nd house, with their habits of eating, for example, or very organized in the home, and if it's in the 4th house, very organized in career if it's in the 10th house, etc. So we have to look at these things. So this strengths, they have high positions in society. They're very insightful, perceptive, wealthy, charitable, performs well in foreign countries because the love for traveling, and you see lots of dancers and musicians, they travel a lot. Lives both in spiritual and material levels, compassionate, good conversationalist, enjoy music and dance, good organizational ability, sincere, focused on accomplishments and developing their careers, like old and mystifying articles, skilled at research and astrology. Yeah, for the weakness, we have covered it enough, I guess. So, yeah, I always just watch out not to hurt others too much, and not to be too much self-absorbed, and also really try to find the remedies to make your relationships work and your marriages work, because yeah, at some point we have to mature, and then we want to attune with the beneficial and prosperous side of this nakshatra, not really its shadow side so much. So that's where we have to conquer our lower nature of aggressiveness and etc. Yeah? So if you have moon or ascendant In this nakshatra, you are kind-hearted by nature. Impulsiveness and hastily thought and actions are strong here. If issues flare up, you are the type to walk away, as you like to stay away from disputes. You are intelligent and a happy-go-lucky person and don't like to get into anyone else's business, but you accept others to stay out of yours. You are affectionate to others and go by your emotions, feelings and instincts rather than logical reason. Yeah, so even though you can be secretive without revealing your motives at times, you can appear frank and open. You believe in honest business and often indulge in moral and social activities. You also enjoy the arts, including dance and music. So, yeah, we are lucky that the 8 Vasus are there to hold this nakshatra strong. Otherwise, it would have, with this, the emptiness of the symbol of the drum and the aggression of rhythm and Mars and Saturn combined, it would just fall off a cliff easily. So all glories to the 8 Vasus. So if you are suffering a little bit, because I know a few people and everybody's telling me the same thing, it's I have very difficult relationships and partnerships with business dealings or in marriage. So then you can chant these mantras every time when the moon transits every month, or when important planets transit like Saturn at this time. And if you have natal positions, if you have moon in Dhanistha, that means Saturn is now transiting your natal moon and you are in the heart of your Sati period, then definitely you can find out remedies. So there's also the Ganesh form that you can worship. It's actually in Jagannath Temple in Puri. So these are all remedies. There's a lot more remedies that you can do. But we're not going to cover all of them. And also in the Rig Veda, the 8 Vasus are not so much mentioned. It's here and there in little sentences as part of the greater concept of all gods. So what time first springing into life, though nighest proceeding from the sea or upper waters. Limbs of the deer hadst thou and eagle peonins. So steed they birth this night and must be lauded. This steed with Yama gave had Trita harnessed, and him the first of all had Indra mounted, his bridle in the Gandharva grasped. O Vasus, from out of the sun ye fashioned for the courser. So here and there the Vasus are mentioned. I pretty much like the story also behind Mahabharata, because we find a lot of information there. And this was it for my presentation. We had a lot of things are covered. So in general, I changed the WhatsApp group now. We still have the WhatsApp group, but I created the Telegram channel, so you can also add it there. There is a link in the description box or on my YouTube banner there. We're still posting on Instagram some nice details about nakshatras and also transits, which is very nice. And for the rest, I'm still doing consultations also. My contact is also through email in the description box, or whoever has my WhatsApp number, you can also ask for my WhatsApp number. And then the services are there on the account. So that's it, and I will see you in the next video.